There is a big difference between a bitter baby mama and a frustrated single mother. If she says, I don't like that you have a girlfriend, so I'm not letting you see our child, that's a bitter baby mama. If she says, I think it's BS that you pick and choose when you want to see your kid, that's a frustrated single mother. If she says, I'm increasing child support if you don't do things my way, that's a bitter baby mama. If she says, I need you to step up and pay for and take care of the child we made together, that's a frustrated single mother. If she won't hand over the child because you were 3 hours late for pickup, that's a frustrated single mother. But if she won't hand over the child because you were 3 minutes late for pickup, that's a bitter baby mama. A very important thing in co-parenting is to not treat a frustrated single mother like a bitter baby mama and vice versa, because these two women are not the same.
My best friend was dealing with a bitter baby mama before he died. We were supposed to get weekly supervised visitation, but she stopped honoring that stipulation years before he died. I can't describe how much it hurt. He was fighting for years to see his son, and he didn't get to see him. He didn't get to tell his son how much he loved him, didn't get to hear those words from his son. Now he's ashes, and will never get to watch his son grow into a man.
A shocking new claim about the falling marriage rate is raising a lot of questions right now. A new study says the reason fewer people are getting married is because there's a shortage of, quote, economically attractive men.
Ask this question all the time. You complain about men, but are you being the type of a woman that a man would want, right? Maybe in the instant when men are not thinking with their big heads and they're saying, oh, whoa, she's half naked, great, I'm going to go for it. Yeah. That might be what a man wants. But long term, that's not what a man wants. A man doesn't want a girl that's just going to be naked all the time and put herself out there available for every man to see. You know, that I don't have to be a man to know that that's not what men want. So then you say men suck. I'm looking at you going, I'm not a dude. I wouldn't date you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, self-perpetuating problem. Not enough women calling out the fact that women are not desirable right now, in my opinion, right? They're sexually desirable, but I wouldn't want to take you home to mom desirable.
Economically viable men are choosing not to get married because they want to maintain their economic viability.
Problem is that there's zero advantage to marriage in the Western world for a man. There is zero statistical advantage. If you use your mind, if you use your head instead of your heart, and you look at the advantages to getting married, there are absolutely and utterly none. If a woman marries a man and it goes wrong, she has emotional heartbreak, fine. But if a man marries a woman and it goes wrong, he has emotional heartbreak. Plus, everything he has ever worked for is ripped out from underneath him, and he has to give that chick money forever. All you're doing is scaring men away from commitment. And then you have to add in the other hidden element. All women got together and said, we'll only have sex after marriage. Guess what men would do? Get married. But you don't, right? So now you're in Miami. I go to Miami. I can fuck anything in the club. I don't have to marry any of them. If I marry them, I get wrecked. So, like, let's all use our brains here. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to be like, well, no.
Does that make sense for you as far as like why divorce is inherently more risky for men?
I just feel like you're saying because women tend to be the person who initiates a divorce, correct?
Yes.
That's why it's riskier for men. But why do women tend to end divorces? With successful men that have money, they cheat.
She said it earlier.
They do all these things that women don't want to put up with.
She said it earlier. It's
so
a feeling.
Why?
Feelings change from day to day.
Yeah. So I could have been in love with the person at the moment, but if that person is no longer treating me well just because we're married, I have to say no.
That's the point.
Because he can't be a good husband.
So as a man,
that's all I'm asking.
If I marry you and you decide, you know what, he's not the guy I thought he was anymore, I'm leaving. You take half my stuff, and maybe.
So is there no risk without reward?
So also,
you married me, right?
No. So once again, this is why
you wanted to marry me.
Don't want to get married.
You loved me enough that it would be worth it to you to marry me and take the risk.
Hold on, stop the show. You just basically admitted it with your own words. Why guys don't get married?
She's malicious as hell. I just don't feel the same about you anymore, so I'm divorcing you, taking the kids and half of everything you've ever worked for. Oh, and I'm taking the house. Why would a man ever get married in this day and age? She literally said she wasn't worth the risk, and it's your fault for thinking she's worth it.
When a woman says that you're controlling, toxic, insecure for not wanting your girl to go party 4 or 5 nights a week and get drunk and put herself in these sorts of situations, that's basically essentially just shaming language. You're trying to shame men out of using our masculine instincts to keep her out of positions that put the relationship at risk. There's absolutely no reason that a man should allow his girlfriend to put the relationship at risk. And I do think it's the case that if you're going out and partying and getting drunk and being around these kinds of people in these kinds of environments, you are putting your relationship at risk.
It's simple. Be faithful and in a relationship, or be a whore and be in the streets. There's a big difference between a wife and a party girl. Pick one.
Imagine thinking that it was a bad thing, by the way, for a man to say that it's their job to take care of women. Remember when that was noble? You remember? I don't remember. When the Titanic was sinking, I don't remember all the women complaining that they were on the boats first with the children. No. Were they like, no, I'm staying here. Men, you take the boats. I've got this. No, because that would be weird. That would make no sense, right? And now we're warped. Right. So this now we've been programmed as women to think that when a man says it's my job to take care of a woman, you're supposed to be offended by that. Instead of saying to yourself, well, that's a fundamentally decent man that thinks that's his job and is going to work his butt off to make that happen. Warped society. Don't play the game.
Feminism now really means acting self-centered and without the need for any accountability for your actions.
So a girl made a video about this on TikTok, and it's put in the most simple terms. I would say every girl I know right now wants a man who is masculine and a leader. And obviously that comes with like asserting dominance and all these things. And all these women want this. But then no women want to listen. They don't want to listen to the leader. So they want the leader, but then they're not going to listen. And it's so funny because it really comes down to like not listening to them is not only just extremely demasculating to them, it's like, so why would they want to be with you? They would go be with a woman who's more feminine and like willing to listen. This is not like, I'm not talking about controlling crazy guys. I'm talking about this is what a strong man in his masculine is. So it's like when you're, doing the whole feminine, new wave feminism, girl boss, I don't listen to anyone, then that's okay. There's a reason why the statistics are saying that all you guys are going to be single and unmarried in the next like 20 years is because you're not listening.
These women think a relationship is Burger King. Have it your way.
Me during the earthquake so that she doesn't get the ick. This is literally what men have to do. These are the hoops they have to jump through because of the ridiculous standards that women put on them on social media. Somebody commented and said, new ick, standing still during an earthquake. Somebody else said, what earthquake? I didn't feel shit. That is what you have to say.
Fail. He was supposed to be doing a handstand during the earthquake. Raise your daughters to respect men.
It just doesn't make sense to me how women are not being asked out on dates. Like, there are so many beautiful women, like, come on, like, just shoot your shot. But a lot of the things that the guys were telling me, and these were guys from the ages of like 19 to 40, was like, no, we don't want to intimidate a woman. If we see them on the street, like, we'll cross the road so that they feel safe. No, we don't want to come across creepy. So I do see that obviously culture has really like removed this from the man, this kind of like the art of the chase. And then that, I think, in effect, is making more men passive.
There's a two-part solution that I have to this dilemma. Number one, women need to stop shaming men for simply approaching them, whether he is attractive in her eyes or not. Yes, I'm calling you out, ladies. Part two, I might get a lot of backlash for this, but more women need to approach. And just to be clear, ladies, I'm not talking about you just doing a brief look at him or a super quick smile, because those are such little hints that he might just think that you're being nice.
Women need to stop praising each other for toxic behavior. That's another problem. I got reported to HR for holding a door open for a female coworker who happened to be a hardcore feminist. Being threatened with my job for something I was taught to do back in the 80s as a kid is the kind of thing that makes me just want to check out and die alone, but safe.
I remember this guy, we were friends or whatever, and then like he wanted to like hook up.
Friends or whatever.
We were friends. We were friends from high school. We genuinely had always been friends. And then he wanted to like hook up, and then I didn't want to. And then after that night that he wanted to and I didn't want to, he ghosted me. Like, he was not my friend anymore.
Well, he was never your friend.
I know, but
See, and this is why it goes back to guys and girls cannot be friends.
I genuinely thought we were good friends.
It's because you're innocent and like you obviously haven't been through enough life to understand that that's not true. Guys always want something from the girl. Always.
They always want things. And so do girls. I think it's just opportunity waiting. They're just waiting for some opportunity, which is exactly what you described. Because then he did it and it didn't work, and he's like, all right, peace. Gone.
She kept him in the friend zone, and my guy finally shot his shot, and he finally moved on. Props, my guy. Homie finally grew a spine and stopped wasting his time.
Modern woman and like a lot of the feminist indoctrination, brainwashing, and American women with these like massive insecurity things. She's just saying like, well, I don't want men to be the leader. That's basically what she's saying. She's like, I don't want men to be the leader. I don't like women can be leader too. Not even women can be leaders too, but she's saying like women can be better leaders in certain situations.
I dislike the use of Annie from the hilarious show Community in this context.
Because I always talk about the demonization of, women who choose to stay at home, the demonization of housewives, the demonization of women who make a different choice than what is considered the acceptable choice of the modern feminist movement. And not every woman is going to want to be that CEO or enter the workforce. Some of them want to devote themselves to being a wife and being a mom. Why do we have to disparage them because they're making a different choice than what a lot of women make in this day and age? Why? Why can't we just fight that reflex? Because we all have it, right? I mean, Rollo Tomassi says we're all kind of raised in the feminist age, and hence we kind of have a little bit of that lens. I believe that he's right on that in many respects, because I even have to check myself sometimes, because it's almost like you're programmed to react a certain way, and it just starts coming out of your mouth, and you're like, wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. You really have to kind of deprogram all of that stuff and look at stuff for what it actually is.
It's not demonization, it's envy. In the game of competition amongst women to get the best husband who allows them to enjoy being home for the most part and has a marriage contract with them, whilst they have to work like a man and have no contract. Women have to understand that other women are not looking out for them, but rather competing against them.
So women are not forced to conform to what men want because we'll get the attention anyways. And there's evidence that suggests that 50% of women are never going to have kids or get married. And then you take the women that do get married, 50% of them will divorce.
And that's by 2030, so it's not even that far away. So like if we take this room, for example, how many girls are there in this room? 2, 4, 6, 7. At least, let's make it nicer than it is. At least 3 of us will never get married and never have kids. And that's a
Yeah, that's if the world doesn't go tits up before 2030. There's so much crazy shit happening, I'm expecting the world as we know it to end.
Let's say you had a daughter and she wanted to marry a homeless guy. Would you give him a chance? Would you want to meet him and talk to him?
Well, that's different because he has no money, but the girl's going to have money if she's doing OnlyFans, so at least she can,
But what if I told you a woman's sexuality is the equivalent to a man's status and money? So if a girl's out there giving it for free...
That's your opinion, but it's not mine, so that's okay.
It's not about an opinion. It's about how the genders objectively look at each other.
But I don't agree. That's just not
this is
not my philosophy.
But it's biological fact, though. Like,
I don't see it as equal.
Men or women aren't equal. That's what I'm trying to illustrate here.
Yeah, but you just said it was equal. You said sexuality is equal
it's
to
the functional
money.
equivalent. That's why I had to switch the
Yeah, but
scenario
I
so
don't
you can
agree.
understand.
I just don't agree with that.
I found it interesting that you would go ahead and give a OnlyFans sex worker the benefit of the doubt and give her an opportunity to prove herself. But if I took the same situation, I said, okay, for your daughter, what if she was with a homeless guy? You said, no, I wouldn't even give him a chance.
Can I ask something?
Hold on. So I don't understand, like...
We've created a generation of narcissistic women. OnlyFans just needs to be destroyed as a company. It's a plague. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.